Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Watershed. Welcome to Ray Winstone Day here at Watershed. My name's Mark Cosgrove. I'm the cinema curator here. Delighted to have you at this special event. Mr. Winstone is en route. He's travelling from London, hotly pursued by Ben Kingsley, no doubt. So what the order of the day is, we're going to watch Sexy Beast, and then Ray Winstone will be immediately in conversation with Ben Thompson for about 3/4 of an hour, and then he'll be signing copies of his book. And if you want to buy a copy of the book, they'll be for sale in the link. So he'll be through in the link, signing copies of the book. But I'm going to leave you in the capable hands of Sexy Beast. And for those of you who care or are interested about these things, we're going to watch it in glorious 35mm. Thank you.
That's his best side.
It's very important that I be seen to my best advantage because obviously there's a bright star shining next to me. Can everyone hear okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. My name is Ben Thompson. I'm here to ask Ray Winstone some questions, not just about the film that you just saw, but generally about his early life and the way that that has impacted on his film career, as evidenced in this book, which is just being published right now and which there is a signing of after the event. So I think we're done with the plugs. We can get on with the action.
God, you're good.
I've done this before. The first thing I want to say is that obviously we've not just watched this film, so we've just got to try and catch up with where your mood is at the end.
Yeah, but Ben, I was in it.
That's true. That's true.
I kind of know it.
You remember it. You're not a big one for watching your old films, are you? That's not something you'll see them, but you won't watch them over and over again, will you?
Nah, it'd be ridiculous to do that. But you do watch them when they come out because it's like, I suppose it's like being a painter. You've got to sign it, haven't you? You've got to see if it's turned out the way you want it to turn out.
And at the time,
and this one certainly did, I think, and probably better.
At the times when you see them and you think, oh, that's not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, really. It's just the way it is, sometimes you can be disappointed. It's not for the want of trying, for everyone on a film, but they don't always. Sometimes the writing can be great, and we mess it up somewhere along the line. Or sometimes the writing can be terrible and you're up against it, but you can still make a good film. I don't know how, but you can.
I think one of the things I know that I've most enjoyed about this film and others of your films, and I think a lot of people say about your performances in these kind of films where they're in what you might call an underworld milieu. I'm not trying to get you in any trouble, but I think it would be fair to say that you carry a conviction in these parts that other actors don't always carry.
I don't know. Sometimes you don't have to be close to something or have been involved in something to actually. I'll give you an instance. When we made the film Last Orders, the director was from Australia.
Fred Shepsey.
Yeah, Fred. And really, he wasn't brought up in London or anything like that, but he from an outside point of view looking in, he did capture the essence of London family life in a way, and what uncles and all that mean to you. It's no different from anywhere else in the world. Villainy is villainy and family's family,
And sometimes also you can see with a keener eye from outside because you're not used to
it.
everything.
But to be honest with you, I never actually approached Sexy Beast as a blaggers movie, if you like. For me, it was a love story, and I think that was the first and foremost
Well, not
thing.
between Gal and Don.
Yeah, there was a bit of that.
Yeah.
I think there was a love from Don towards Gal, and also from Don towards Julianne White's character in the film as well. But mostly it was what was my name in it? Colin, wasn't it? Cole. And
Gal.
Dirty D. My wife. So I think that the script does the rest for you. The story's there, but emotionally you play it in a different way. I always thought, to me, the only reason I think he wanted to do the blag anyway. I think he loved his wife and he really wanted to live a straight life, but I think that little bit of excitement.
So he was willing to be persuaded.
Yeah.
But it took Gandhi to do it, though, didn't it?
Getting best up with Gandhi. Do you know, they said, when I got the script, I read the script on an aeroplane, and I was laughing and crying in the right. It was just, I wanted to do the film, and no one had been. They wanted me to play Don, And I looked at it and I thought, well, you know, okay, but, you know, and I'd have played him with Tourette's. Because, you know, fucking... and for me, that's what I saw in Don, you know, and they couldn't find a Don for the part. And I showed it to Gary Oldman. I said, Gary, have a look at that, because I'd done Neil by Mouth with him, and I said, have a look at that. That's blinding. Me and you in that, that'd be mint. Now, whether he didn't want to work with me or not, I don't know.
He'd had enough.
He'd had enough with me. But, and he read it, and he didn't like it. He just didn't like it. You know, sometimes there's things that you like that other people don't like, you know. I said, you got me mad, it's blind. The writing is fantastic. The writing in it, we never changed the words, you know. It's almost like poetry in a way, you know. Although there's a lot of swearing, but I kind of like that bit of poetry. But and Gary weren't having it, and then they couldn't find one, and then they said, we've found Don. I went, oh, blind, who's it going to be? Is it going to be someone like Oliver Reed or someone like, you know? And they said, no, it's Ben Kingsley. And I went, what, Gandhi? I'm going to get bashed up by Gandhi? And I never bought into it. I never thought it would work. And it kind of shows you what a great actor the man is, because to play Gandhi from one extreme and then come and play Gal, we can all do our bit, but it's a class act, you know, and an absolute pleasure to work with him. Once he started going to work, you kind of knew, you know, you believed him. So that's the story of Don.
One of the things that I wanted to ask about, having spoken to you about it before, but I thought people would enjoy it, is in your book you describe your first meeting and then some subsequent meetings with Ronnie Kray. And I thought that people might enjoy hearing how that relationship developed from what you could call a difficult beginning.
I told him to leave it out. Hey, yeah, right. No, I was actually, my dad, like a lot of kids around the East End, but grew up with him, boxed with him at the Lansdowne Club, him and Reggie, you know. And they just grew up in the streets together. So he came round to see my dad once with Reggie and a few of the boys when we lived in Plaistow. And he hadn't met me yet. I was only 6 months old, you know. And he picked me up and I weed all over his neck. And the room kind of went quiet, and Ronnie laughed, and then everyone else laughed because they thought it was all right. And I went to visit him when I was around about, I think I was about 28, something like that, because I was going to play Ronnie in the film, which was eventually done by the Kent boys, who've done a really good job on it. And but
were you going to play the two brothers?
Not at that point. No, that was a later film that they were going to make of an older age.
Because they're doing that now. With
they're doing Tom Hardy, which will be again fantastic. But he reminded me. He said, "The first time I met you, you pissed on me. I hope you're not going to do that again." So yeah, I mean, those were them kind of days of. They were looked at as being kind of Robin Hood characters in the East End, you know. But I mean, but really, they you know. They murdered, they thieved for normal working people, and even though we thought a different thing of it at the time, but as you get older, you get more mature in the way you think, and not good people, you know. Because there's enough good people about.
There are. I mean, in your teenage years, you used to go and box at the Repton.
I was just about to say before you fucking interrupted me, right? Because I'm in a role now, right? But, you know, then you get new heroes come along, you know, and I was pretty lucky at the time when West Ham won the World Cup in 1966 that we got another hero called Bobby Moore, you know. But in a way, forget about the football and all that kind of stuff. A man who came from the same area as me, but a little bit up the road in Barking, became the captain of England and a spokesperson for the area where I lived in. So he wasn't kind of known just for bank robbers and gangsters and all that kind of crap. We had a man who actually could stick his chest out and be a straight guy, you know, and it brought a new kind of hero for kids like me to look up to. You know, you didn't have to go out and be a jolly thief or whatever. You could actually do something with your life, you know. And that was probably one of the most important times in that part of the 60s, you know, for kids like me, you know, whether you come from Liverpool or Coventry or wherever, you know, it's you need people like that instead of this kind of gloss of what gangsters are, and they you know, I hear stories, the East End was much safer, you know, when Reggie and Ronnie were about. Was it? Not if you upset them, it wasn't. You know, and, you know,
I guess that's
we needed something different, you know.
I guess that's similar. When there's a bit of a reign of terror, people like to sort of justify it to themselves, like even in you know, you'd probably hear people would say that in Belfast, like all the IRA, you could leave your back doors open. It's like, well, not if they didn't.
Well, you didn't have to because they blew it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is that, and you know that's a different thing. That was a war.
Yeah.
You know, that's a different old thing, ball game in a way.
By the time you got to meet Ronnie the second time, and you went to Broadway, you were in your late 20s, and you got a sort of probably by then already a slightly different perspective on what he represents. And, you know, in terms
No,
of,
not really,
no.
to be honest with you.
Were you still a bit starstruck?
Yeah, about, you know, these are folk heroes from where I'm coming. And they still are, you know, in that way. But I guess I've been lucky enough to travel a hell of a lot. And when I make a film abroad, we don't necessarily go to where the holiday makers go, you know. You go to the normal places up in the mountains and, you know, you're not just laying on a beach like you are in, mind you, Sexy Beast. I got there 2 weeks early. And they said, I said, what am I doing here this early? They said, well, you've got to do some groundwork on this and think about it. Oh, really? Well, what have I got to do then? They said, we want you to lay on the beach for 2 weeks, get brown, eat a lot of pasta and drink as much vodka as you like. What a blinding way to go to work. And you get paid for it.
It's terrible what you've been put yourself through for your art.
Yeah,
you know, it's inspiring to see that. But I know that when you spent that time talking to Mr. Cray, and I know because you were thinking of it for a film, you were observing him very closely.
What, you a policeman?
Yeah. I remember you saying that you'd picked up something that had surprised you about his behaviour, like the way that he...
First of all, there was his eyes. It's kind of like what Don was. You know them people like Don in the film, how are you, Don? I'm all right. How's your brother? Brother's all right. Do you want to have a look round? I will do in a minute when I have a piss. You know, you can't get nothing out of them, you know. Ronnie was the other way. But he had these eyes that when they looked at you, they looked at your eyes, through your head to the back of the wall. And it's like, people call it charisma. It's almost like you can't tell a lie, you know. And the only time I've ever come across that before was talking to guys who were in the SAS. It's kind of concentration, it's kind of knowing the fear in you or knowing whatever. It's a way, it's almost like a deadness. And but the guys I met from the SAS I actually loved, you know, brave boys. And you got to remember in the 60s, you know, when you see gangster films, there's guns everywhere. They were, you know, guns were... they come from the Second World War that were left over, you know, they were big old... I was born 12 years after the Second World War, but it wasn't... We've never been a gun culture. It's only recently where you start seeing guns about on the States and kids running about with them. But at the time, you know, you very rarely... I mean, there's people in the audience here, I don't know whether I'm right or wrong in saying this, so I can't even remember what I remember, but you very rarely heard about gun crime in this country, you know. I mean, the big ones was at the races years ago were the chivvy men. You know, you go to the races and people would cut you on and have it in the peak of their cap and take the cap off or in the lapels, you know, so you grabbed them and you got cut.
That was the
was
thing.
Chivs, you know.
That was the thing that used to happen on the markets where your dad worked and then you used to go.
I remember walking through Spitalfields with my dad once and a fella went to duff his cap and my dad just went bump and knocked him out. And I was a kid and I said, what was that all about, you know? And he said, no, he went with a cap. And then he told me what that was all about. You know, they used to cut you. He'd obviously had a row with him somewhere else. But they weren't gun crime, you
know. One of the things that I know that happened in consequence of when you were driven out to meet Ronnie, there was a guy that drove you called, I think it's Alex Steen.
Alex, yeah.
Who was sort of a character at least.
Alex was terrific. I liked Alex a lot.
But he gave you a job then, didn't he?
Yeah, I worked up in just off of the Haymarket in Penton Street. He gave me an office there so I could work out the office. And he used to sell tickets, but really he used to bring all the firms together, you know, when there was a row and argument and that. Alex was a very clever man. He came from Leeds, and if there was any trouble from the North London firm or South London firm, they'd all meet in Alex's office, and they'd all sit down and have a little chat and sort it out, because no one wanted to have a row. They wanted to earn a living, you know.
But the thing I love about this thing is that I think it would make such an excellent sitcom.
A sitcom, yeah.
Because the company was called The Unobtainables.
Yeah.
And they would get you the tickets that no one else could get you.
Yeah.
And then you were in there on the phone, be quite, you know, an innocent lad of what was going on in the other room. And
of
then
course.
Periodically there'd be like a raid from...
We got a raid one time from, must have been Special Branch, came in because they bought tickets for the Trooping of the Colour.
Which I didn't even know you could buy tickets. I mean, why would anyone pay
Well,
to...
you can, believe me. You can buy anything. And we got this raid because the 2 seats that we'd sold in the office was... the 2 people that bought the tickets found out that they were actually sitting next to John Knott.
It was the Defence Secretary.
Yes, he was, yeah, and that was kind of...
It's a small security breach.
Yeah, a small one, yeah. Yeah, there's probably a geezer sitting there like that with a Mars bar down here and his hero around here like, all right. It's next to John Knott. But so they came in and it was mayhem in the office, absolutely. And I walked in from my little room next door and they said, who are you? I said, I'm in the office next door. What do you do here then? I said, well, Alex is very good to me, you know, he lets me use the office next door to doing what I'm doing. What do you do? I'm an actor. What, and you need an office? Well, yeah. Right. And they said, we're worried about these tickets. I said, I bought them. Because they're all going to get nicked. I said, I bought them. Who'd you buy it off? I don't know. Someone phoned. I picked up the phone. They came in, give me the tickets. I gave them the money. I bought the tickets. And that was the end of it. All that to say.
And had you bought the tickets?
No. No, but it just stopped. It stopped all the aggravation. You know?
And the thing, in that office where you were doing that, there were a couple of other more sort of older, more sort of slightly ripe thespians, we could call them.
We had Darren Nesbitt. And we had a
was he in Cold? Was he the...
No, he was Where Eagles Dare.
Where Eagles
He
Dare.
was the Nazi. Yeah. I see Darren the other night, actually, in Brighton. He's a good man, Darren, you know. But they used to sort of, old actors used to give them jobs and all. They like actors. You know.
But, I mean, what fascinates me about that is that people often talk about, I mean, not so much with Sexy Beast, but some other films about them glamorising violence or glamorising the underworld. But the fact is that there's always been an element of glamour within the underworld. You know, that's how it works.
Showbiz and that always kind of went hand in hand. Yeah.
And you saw, I think, in that office, you saw sort of how close, didn't you, with some of the people that would be hanging around. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to say any names if you don't want to.
I won't. No.
Okay, that's all right. That makes it much easier. Well, I think that might be a good cue for some questions from the room, if there are any. You can ask him. I have asked him a lot of questions over the years. You can ask him absolutely anything you want. If he doesn't want to answer, he won't. In the front there, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you hadn't got into acting, where do you think you might be today? And do you have any betting tips for the England game tonight?
Yes. I have no idea what I would have been doing. I worked in the fruit markets when I was a kid. I actually loved it. I loved being up at 2 o'clock in the morning and sleeping over the park all day in the Lido. Because you're young, you can do that. And then going to work again the next morning. I'd be finished by 11 o'clock, you know. And that was sort of the game that I understood and knew, you know. And then you get Tesco's and Sainsbury's come along and the market game kind of dies. So I have really no idea. It's so long ago I started in this game. I've been in it 40 years, you know. So it's hard to imagine what else. If it stopped now, I don't know what I could do because physically I'm not capable of going and doing a manual job. I'd have to, you know. But right at this minute, if you asked me to go and unload a lorry of bricks, I wouldn't be able, I mean, I'll do it for about 10 minutes and I'll go, leave it, give someone else a tenner to do it for me. I can't physically do that. So I have no idea. And England to win tonight, I think that's probably 7-4 on that, isn't it? Because they're better away from home, aren't they? It seems to me. They're looking all right, aren't they? They're looking bad. I think they'd do a good job.
They don't like the pressure of Wembley, do they? That's what it is. It gets them down.
So all of a sudden you know about football, do you?
That's just an observation that I've made.
Well, yeah. Okay. All right.
not the last time you went to Wembley, but one earlier visit was to see the opposition from the other day, San Marino, and something happened.
No, we had a blinding night because
You saw Bobby Moore.
yeah, I did. But first of all, we went there for the first half, and England we didn't have tickets, so we went in the San Marino end. There was 35 San Marinos in there. San Marinos, is that what you call them? San Marino? Who's called San Marino in there? And there was about 6 of us. And we're all suited up. We got overcoats on and all that. We looked like the Ant Hill mob, to be honest with you. And we were standing at the back, and we started chanting at the England fans. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough, right? And you got about 60,000 England fans want to kill us. And the San Marino mob were going, please don't start. And we ended up, we won 6-0. Well, it was 6. I think it was 6-0 at half time, something like that. And then England were kicking the other way, and there was nothing to see. So we all went back to the Hilton Hotel, and we had a drink, and Bobby Moore was there. And it wasn't. I love Bobby Moore. You know, I was lucky enough to play against him at Wembley before the Tottenham Coventry final, and he marked me. And I got the ball from the kick-off, and I see Bobby in front of me, and I dropped my shoulder and went round him. And it was 30 yards before I realised I didn't have the ball. You know? And he done a wonderful thing, because I played against a lot of old pros, and they've got that will to win, you know. They ain't going to let you win. They want to win a game of football, and they'll kick you all over the place if you let them. And Bobby Moore was marking me on the wing at this point. I thought I'd get away from him because he's too good for me, right? And I got out on the wing, and he's marking me there, and Mick Shannon had the ball, right in the back. And Bobby Moore sitting, he went, have a run. I went, what? He said, have a run. And I had a run, and he stepped forward, and Mick Shannon hit this ball. And I crossed it on a Daley Thompson's head. He headed it in. But he's the only pro I played against who would do that. What a gentleman, you know? And we saw him at the Hilton Hotel, and he was very ill, looked very ill and all. He was doing a radio show on the game. And he just stayed with us for about an hour, and he didn't know me from Adam, yeah, really, you know. But just sat and talked to the boys, and an absolute gent. If I got one hero in my life, that would be Bobby Moore, you know.
Another question for anyone? Oh, one at the back.
Could you just tell us about Alan Clark? How important was he to your career as an actor? You obviously did Scum. You know, what was it about Alan Clark that was?
There's a lot about Alan Clark in this book, I can tell you that.
Well, Clarky. To me, you got to remember when I got Scum, I got it on the way I could walk. I walked down the corridor. I was the last one to go in and see him, and I had no idea about this game at all, and just had a laugh with him, you know. And the part was actually written for a Glaswegian, and you've already heard my accent, so. And so I walked down the corridor, and he watched me walk down the corridor, and I walked like a fighter, you know, bam, 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 bam. And I got the part, and I thought it was all a bit of a giggle, to be honest with you. And Clarky used to wind me up, talk to me, educate me about the game. So if I happen to be with a director who's not doing it for me, I kind of relate back to Alan Clark, you know, because he didn't only just teach me; he taught hundreds of young actors. I think, you know, he was that sort of teacher, including Tim Roth and Gary Oldman, you know, and many, many, many more. So Clark, he's probably the most influential in the early days, at least, until Gary Oldman came along and directed Neil My Mouth. That was my schooling, really. I had to learn on the job.
You had quite a special playing journey, didn't you, with Mr. Clark?
Oh, me and Clarky, we got invited to Cannes for Scum. Scum dancing, we used to call it. And I get this phone call that we want to get you to Cannes, you and Alan, because it's really going off in Cannes about Scum. They love it, right? And we couldn't get a flight, so they put us on this 3-seater. The pilot, me and Alan Clark, and the pilot had this big bushy moustache like an RAF Spitfire pilot. And Alan was not well at all at the time. I think it was in the early days of the cancer he was getting, but he had jaundice. And on one of those little planes flying to France, it's probably about a 5-hour trip, you know. So we get on it and strap ourselves in, and I love flying. I really do enjoy it. And after about an hour, like hitting the clouds, hitting the air pockets, dropping out the sky, I'm going, God, this is great. going to the south of France, all birds everywhere and everything. That'd be great. And Clark is saying to the captain, excuse us, Captain, you know, can you drop down a few thousand feet? I've got to have a piss. Because there's not a toilet on there. So he's ending up getting the brown paper bag, the sick bag, and he's got to try and manoeuvre himself and have a wee in the bag. And without being rude, girls, I know it's just a funny time, but where he wasn't well, the smell was unbearable. The captain's moustache even wilted. I tell you. Anyway, up and out, about another 3 hours, we get in the can and we hit the runway and we bounce all over the place on the runway. And the captain's supposed to show us about, you know, show us where we got to go and all that. And he literally undone the door and bolted. He had it on his toes. But it was the glamour of Caen. It was different from Bethnal Green, I've got to be honest with you.
The two of you and Alan Clark, no one would have mistaken you for father and son at the time, would they? Because you had a very distinctive fashion approach, didn't you?
Oh, Clark, no, I was always like proper East End boy, all done up nice and lovely, good-looking boy, blonde hair and all that. And Clark, he had a Mars bar down here, curly hair that he never washed, and you know them roll-neck jumpers you wear that look like the ends of sandwiches when they've gone off, you know, all curled over. And he had a velvet jacket on that was ripped, bell-bottom, I can picture it now, bell-bottom jeans that were too short, and a pair of Chelsea boots. Although either Chelsea boots or Dr. Martens, I think they were Chelsea boots. He did look well, I've got to be honest with you. But probably one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet, you know. He cared, you know. He really cared, even the subject matter when he made films. He made a film called Elephant. I thought it was a very intelligent film. And it was just clips of assassinations, you know. So you start off with a geezer walking down the road and someone creeps up behind him and goes, bang, just blows him in the back of the head. Another one where someone gets stabbed or someone gets garroted. And the whole point was it was like news. You know, by the time you've seen the fifth one, you're bored. You've had enough, you know. So he was a very kind of thinking, intellectual Scouser, if there is one. But he, excuse me.
Good job we're not in Liverpool.
Nah, I had a bit of a worry there for a minute. But, you know, he was, and I loved him dearly. I thought he was a great man.
Now, there was a question down here that was sort of...
It was about Scum, so
You're allowed,
Sure,
you're allowed.
sure, do what you like.
I was going to ask, where did you get your inspiration for Carlin? Because he's such a divisive character.
Alan Clark.
Yeah.
It was, for me, all Clarky used to say, just believe it. How do you think you'd do it? I remember reading the script when it says, you know, I walk into the boiler room where they pull out the iron bar, hit Baldy on the head with it, and then Baldy gets up, hits me with something, and I get up and beat him up. I went, whoa. Let me tell you, if I hit him with an iron bar and he gets up, I'm gone. Are you sure? Yeah, you know, it's sometimes it's fantasy in the way you work. But Clark, he was always about the truth. In a way, sometimes it's hindered me because obviously in film and in drama there's different genres, you know. And sometimes you have to play with the truth a little bit in the way your emotions feel to make something work. So it took me a long while to work that out, to be honest with you. But I still think he had a point, you know. And it doesn't always work. I don't always get it right. In fact, I get it wrong quite a bit, you know. But you strive for that. You strive to. I don't want to. I like things that I don't want to see someone acting. You know what I mean? You know, and you know, let's try to find the camera. You know, fuck the camera. You know, just be real and do it. You know, and that's what appeals to me. It doesn't always appeal to everyone else, though. You know.
Lovely. I think I saw a question back on the left. Yeah. It's all right. It's done.
Yeah, Scorsese's another kind of guy that you sit down with and you feel like you're part of making a film. You can bring it to the table, you know. Liked working with him, Marty. I enjoyed it, you know. Me and Jack didn't really see eye to eye, but you know, that's his loss. But a fabulous actor, fabulous to watch. I think I just caught him on a bad day, you know, he was a bit miserable. And he had no reason to be, I don't think. But, you know, that's the way it goes. You can't like everyone, can you? But Martin Scorsese, I really did enjoy working with him, actually. He was good. I had this thing, he killed me 3 times in that movie. He couldn't make up his mind how he was going to kill me. And there was one shot, there was a proper Martin Scorsese shot, when I'm sitting in an armchair and the camera's looking down. And I'm laying there and the blood's dripping down my arm and it makes a pool of blood slowly on all these nice black and white tiles. You know, proper Scorsese. I went, oh, Mark, I like that one. He went, oh, okay. We'll try another one. So, and then we eventually got to the one where I just shoot myself in the car. I said, oh, it's easy, this one, Mark. Like, just put the gun and go, fuck it, bang, shoot, dead. I love it. And we done that one. But there was another one where I'm looking back and I'm thinking about my wife, because Jack Costello asked me about my wife. And I say, well, you know, she's quiet now. And there's a shot of me grotting her with a cheese wire in a bathroom. So we had the camera all set up on a track. And I come out, and as she bends down, you just see me behind her, and I've garroted her, done her. I went, Mark, I've got a blinding idea here. What about, instead of me garroting her, when she bends down, I hit her right in the head with an hammer? He went, what? I said, I'll just smash her with an hammer. Really horrible, right? He went, okay. So, no, we didn't have to change the shot or anything, you know. And as she went down, it reveals me, and I went, I'm nowhere near her, you know, she's over there, but the way the shot is, it looks like I'm right behind. Oh, crunch! And he screams, goes, ah! He went, my God, and he's laughing. I said, what? He said, it's too violent. Scorsese? Yeah. Too violent? Okay, so we didn't do that one, so I garroted her instead.
Oh, it's nice, it's kinder, isn't it, really? Kinder.
Yeah, well, you know.
Is there another question in the front there?
You've been in a lot of films based in London. What
Yeah.
is your favourite film set in London?
God, there's a few. I've been a really lucky boy, you know. You pick up a script and you go, maybe once or twice in your career and go, oh, I really want to do that. There's other scripts you have to do because you don't get those ones too often to pay the rent, basically, you know. And you try and make them work. You want them to work. But in London, you know, Sexy Beast was in Spain, so I can't really count that. It was in London a bit. Nil by Mouth was something that I'm very proud of because Gary let me go. He went, how do you want to be? I said, I just want to fucking go, you know. And he said, let's do it. And he backed me and he talked to me. So from the acting point of view, I'd have to say that. But I had fun doing Face. You know, I was with Bobby Carlyle, who's a great mate of mine, who I love to death, you know. Other films, TV stuff in London. Sometimes TV scripts are better than the film scripts you get, you know, believe me. But I suppose I'd have to say Nil by Mouth, really, as a London film.
Well, also, was there a time you had to they'd kind of got a flat for you to live in when you were doing? Or
Yeah, but we lived just on the south of the river.
It's not your natural territory, is it?
No, well, I got a visa though.
Yeah.
I managed to go home with an evening. And you know, it was we'd sit there and we'd go through the script, having a drink at night, me and Jamie Foreman, and you know, and working it out. Because we didn't have to change too much. There was very little to change. Gary wrote that script. He wrote it brilliantly, beautifully. But just playing it because I got Jamie on board because he was a mate and we knew one another. It was almost telepathic. So whatever we'd done, it just kind of flowed. And we put little bits in like red Adair and oh fuck me, the lighter goes up and you're talking and you talk. The great stuff that I loved was in 44-inch chest, you know. The boys who wrote Sexy Beast in 44-inch chest. 44-inch chest got ruined in a way because certain effects weren't in that film, and I'm not going to blame anything else, and it seems you're passing it on. The writing is so beautiful. When you're talking about men loving women, being in love and over-loving, you know? And a man can sit down and say, and two men write it, by the way, and she walks into the bathroom, you know, and I could see her in the mirror and her tights were they were laying on the rad there, and she's just looking at me, and she gives me a little smile, you know, pat on the bum, and the fucking world become like massive, and you go, you don't have to do anything, the words do it, and it just gets you going, you know. That's fantastic writing. That don't come along at all. I've had it twice with him, with Sexy Beast. He's talking about I'm like a bear in the woods. You know, when I'm on the phone to Dee and I'm saying, you know, I love you, and it's just so easy for you as an actor. You don't have to work hard at it. When you get a bit of crap that someone don't know about, no disrespect, but some of the American scripts you pick up, they wouldn't know how to be in love if it fell out of the sky and squashed them into the ground. I don't know what a passion or an emotion is. I'm being a bit unfair, only because I want to work again. But you know what I mean? So I've got to put 44-inch chest in there. We had bits, because I always saw that as there was no one else in that film. I always saw it as a jealous man, a man who loved this woman, who, he's driven her away. And he's thinking about what his friends might say to him and what he'd like to do. And there's bits in it, that's how we played the film. But there's bits in it, there's a bit when I look out the window, and it's not in the film, and I look up and there's this 60-foot woman who's my wife. So right away it tells you that there's something going on in this guy's head. The film actually started off, but we never shot it because we didn't have the money, of the wall. It's just a brick wall, and it crashes down, and we're all sitting behind the wall, having a fag. And that's how the film was supposed to start. So right away, we lost the two images that I think killed the movie in a way, because it's set in one room. It's like a play. Very difficult film for a director to make. Director was great on it, you know. But I've got to say that for script reasons and just having fun on it. And that's saying the words of that script. It's got to be my favourite, really. Yeah.
Excellent. I'm afraid, because I feel that this could go on for many hours.
I don't care. I don't know where to go.
Well, people in your employ have been waving their arms at me from off the side.
Oh, have they?
Yeah, they have. So if there's one more quick question, maybe we can get one more in there. Go on then.
I absolutely loved you in The Proposition.
It's great. I love that film and all, yeah.
Fantastic. And the question I had, you're talking about words then in 44-inch chest and
Yeah.
on from that, the Sexy Beast. Can you ever lose a moment in a film, not through corpse or the gag reel, but from the emotion? When you've got an actress like Emily Watson opposite you, can you sometimes lose the moment because of the intensity of the person opposite you?
I guess you can. Yeah, I guess so. You lose concentration sometimes. But the beauty of film, you can do it again. Do you know what I mean? Proposition. That was a film, and I read Nick Cave's script there. See, when I was saying, you know, you're lucky you get two. There's another one that for me was, you picked it up, you read it, you went, I want to do that. If I'm lucky enough to get that, I've done it. God, I won't ever ask for another film if I get one. But you do. Once you've done it, like anything, innit?
Yeah,
You
I'll have another
give
one.
us one more, because you're greedy. But Nick Cave there's a writer. When I read that and we finished it and saw the final results, and I went, yeah, but he's a pop star, isn't he? You know, I know he can write music and that, and he's wrote a great script, but he's got to do another one, hasn't he? And then I read Bunny Monroe. I don't know if you've read it. I think it's something like Last Tango in Paris meets the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But it's he
For
can
all the
write.
family, innit?
Yeah, well, it ain't no. But it's dark and it's horrible and it's something beautiful. The way he writes the dialogue in it, you know.
Is there a film with that coming?
Well, I wanted to do it, and Johnny Allcoat, who done The Proposition, said to me, we were going to do it, and he said, listen, I've got a chance to go to the States and do and make a studio film. I went, oh, well, okay, John. He said, what do you think? I said, well, you've got to go and do that, because that's what you started off wanting to do. Go, how's a weight? Well, it's fucking weighted now, 8 years. But that's all right. I'm probably getting a little bit too old to do it now. But there's plenty of good actors out there to do it. I would still want to do it. But I've already said to the boys, listen, you think I'm a bit too old for that now? I think the age don't matter, but they might do.
They can't afford not to give it to you when you waited that long.
Well, I would kill them. But I, you know, sometimes when something's that good, it needs to be made. And I've had my run. I've been lucky enough to get the stuff that I've wanted to do. So you have to lose one now and then.
What a lovely attitude. Ladies and gentlemen.
I don't mean it.
I know, but that's why I'm trying to stop you before you incriminate yourself. Please join me in expressing appreciation to Ray Winstone.
Thank you for coming. Cheers. Cheers.